Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Birthright here as we work our way through the remaining Khinasi domains. So the last of this section, as far as political realms go, is Kozlovnyy. Chaotic good, and it's actually recommended, and actually is a sizable territory. Look at all those provinces that we have here. Now, it's a tale of different areas though, right? Some of them are fairly decently settled with some 4s in there, but mostly we're dealing with like 1s and 2s, and then a couple of 0s there as well. So, or just with the 1-0 actually. But nonetheless, so we got some densely settled areas, sparsely settled, and as you can see, the law doesn't really extend everywhere as well. Now, thankfully, the law is all under one person. Temples, a little bit more going on there. Guild activity as well, split, and then all the sources are under one person's control, and there's quite a bit there. So let's jump in on this one. Once the Khinasi state of Medek, this realm was actually overrun by Voss invaders more than 3 centuries ago. However, many Khinasi customs and laws survived the conquest and have influenced the Voss who now rule. So the Baron rules with an easy hand despite having only minimal law holdings. And as we can see, so even in the provinces where it is, it's not necessarily all filled out. Or lesser nobles administer their own lands. Voss society traditionally places great value on the individual's right to act if wronged, so feuds and duels remain common despite the Baron's efforts to outlaw them. Now on the temple side, the bitter rivalry between the outlawed Temple of Might, which is the faithful of Belanik and Krisha, traditional gods of the Voss, and the worship of Avani, divides the Voss nobles and freesetters from the Khinasi townsfolk in Kozlovnyy and could lead to bloodshed. So here you have not just the different cultural conflicts that you would see from this kind of mix, but really also the religious conflict, certainly. And then guilds. Nowhere in Kozlovnyy can one see the Khinasi influence better than in economic matters. The Northern Traders Guild and the Gradny Koster carefully maneuver to dominate the kingdom's abundant resources, and there's quite a bit there. Sources now. The Baron has forbidden the practice of wizardry, but the powerful Swan Mage, which would love to get more on that character, is a level 16 wizard, so definitely up there in the power scale all the way across the whole Birthright setting, really. But also a sizable bloodline there, and lawful good, controls several sources surrounding the enchanted Swanwood. As we can see, quite a bit there, including that lovely level 7 source in the Swanwood itself. So, we'll hopefully be able to learn some more there as we go through maybe some of the other Anshe and other neighboring realms and stuff like that, and just seeing if we can get some tidbits there. But yeah, that's another fun thing that just gets mentioned here that we would love to get more on, but certainly room for the DM to expand. Now the regent here, the brash young Baron Vladimir Nikhailov, just a level 3 fighter, but also chaotic good, so something to be said for under the Voss, leads Kozlovnyy with strong opinions and a blunt manner, a combination that often makes him act before thinking. Despite this fault, the ruler genuinely cares for his subjects and is quickly gaining their loyalty and love. He has ruled for only a few years as well. A towering, thick-muscled giant, he enjoys the reputation of being the strongest man in all of Kozlovnyy. Needs to definitely spend some time leveling up, though. The Baron is the descendant of Igor Nikhailov, the Voss warlord who led the final battle against Medici 320 years or so ago. Igor Nikhailov always resented the evil influence of the priests of Belanik and Krisha among his warriors, so he outlawed their worship of the 2 evil gods in his new state. Continuing the tradition, Vladimir worships Avani and maneuvers against the outlaw high priest Chernivek. And again, there is that influence there, as you can see on the temple side. Halina El Nasib, level 5 thief, and is true neutral, small bloodline. Perhaps the single most influential merchant in the domain, runs the Gradny Koster. This handsome woman in her early 60s has a light step and boundless energy. Her family lost almost everything they owned in the initial Voss occupation of Medici, but her grandfather and father gradually rebuilt their business interests. Now, El Nasib has brought the Koster back to the level of her family's lost merchant domain. Her chief opponent, though, is the Voss Sasha Kaptrev, level 3 thief, chaotic good as well, so that's interesting, of the Northern Traders Guild. So we have that conflict there, although not as outrightly hostile as the religious situation. The most dangerous man, though, of Kozlovnyy, the High Priest Chernivek, real power player here as far as the religious side goes, level 11 Priest of Belanik, Azrai bloodline, as we would expect, and at 25 in Chaotic Evil, does lead the Underground Temple of Might. The priest plots to one day make Kozlovnyy a quote-unquote true Voss kingdom. We all know what that means. Now, as we get to the end here, quick description of the realm. This young land on the western slopes of the Ruinadorite forest possesses a great potential for growth and expansion. It represents a remarkable example of how contact with a more developed culture can enlighten and elevate barbaric people, the Voss, without removing the values and vigor that define them. Unfortunately, Kozlovnyy finds itself surrounded by enemies. Even the Voss of neighboring Malachev, considered a kingdom of weaklings. Border skirmishes crop up often. So, if we were running this domain, we got plenty of things to deal with internally as well as externally, right? We see that we are surrounded by enemies. Nothing surprising there. That's often the case. But here we do have some real internal conflicts. We don't control that much law, as we saw as described above, and that makes sense here, although the guild competition is something, but I think that's more passive. The mage here, the swan mage, isn't really an adversary. It's just, we happen to have outlawed wizardry, but it is what it is. But really where things are going to brew over is the religious conflict, which will boil over into the cultural conflict and everything else as well. So that would be sort of one area to shore up. Certainly maybe settling the land a little bit more, getting a little bit more as far as income and things go. They don't really, unfortunately, give us a description here as far as what the treasury and regency are at with this one, so that's a little disappointing that was kind of just left there. Also, we don't know about any kind of like standing army there, so again, something the DM and the player will want to come up with, but certainly a few units seems fair as a starting amount, right? And that could be an interesting one too, where you have maybe this combination of some Voss units mixed with also some Khinasi type units in your forces, and making that somehow work could be really interesting. But yeah, as far as running the domain, that's probably going to be the biggest area. Is really, I think, as a ruler, then really putting a firm stamp on hunting down this rogue priest. Although certainly a very powerful character. So if you're running the actual ruler here, Vladimir, right? He's only a level 3 fighter. Certainly he's probably got some allies that he could bring in here, maybe even some of the other important NPCs that we've mentioned, but that level 11 priest certainly has his resources as well, and with those ties to Azrai and everything, could be very, very dangerous. Now, adventuring in here, certainly, again, some of the same types of quests, working maybe for the domain, or just adventuring and figuring things out in here, a lot of potential as well. Again, maybe being tasked actually by the ruler with rooting out where that evil priest is hiding could be a whole campaign in and of itself, and bringing more harmony here. Be even more interesting, if the party was composed of both Voss and Khinasi from here, and just playing up some really great role-playing opportunities with that, as they ideally work for the realm, but still have those cultural differences and things to deal with as well. But then, as it's mentioned here, right, we're not short on external enemies as well, and maybe even getting to some just basic hack and slash with dealing with some of these border skirmishes and stuff is also another fun way to go. So lots of potential here, and again, just looking at the neighbors will also help the DM with molding what the conflicts are and where the party is needed. So lots of opportunity here, a great one to have, but also again surrounded by lots of problems internally and externally. Let us know, guys, if you've run Kozlovnyy in your campaigns and how that's gone. Hit us up with a like and subscribe, comment, and also if you want to support the channel, hit us up on our Patreon. All the support there helps go right back into the channel. Thanks for watching.